guys are going to love getting to know the 45-year-old head coach of your Carolina Panthers. Coach, before I ask the first question, and here's the list, these are all submitted. I want to tell you that this group of people, the Charlotte Touchdown Club, these are some of the people you want on your side. Very astute football fans, very loyal, knowledgeable, and dedicated to the Panthers, and fired up about what you and your staff have in store. All right. From Barbara Ashford from Piedmont Natural Gas. As you would expect from a high-ranking employee of Piedmont Natural Gas, Barbara gets right to it. Coach, what do you think the biggest challenges are for the 2020-2021 season, and what is your plan to address those challenges?
I think probably globally for everyone across the National Football League, it's just dealing with COVID and travel and making sure that we can play this game while at the same time making sure that we keep everyone safe. So I think that's going to be really a daily challenge. We've committed ourselves that no one will be more flexible than us. We'll adapt and adjust at a moment's notice. So I think that's one major challenge. And then I think for our team, teams are built over time. When guys go out there and they know what's expected of them, they can play fast, they can play freely. Our whole thought process is to try to do things to allow guys to eliminate the things that cause you not to perform well, and that's doubt, fear of failure, etc. So it takes time to build that, and we had a lot of time virtually. We haven't had a lot of time in person. So I think the challenge for us is how do we handle the highs and lows of the season? How do we handle success? How do we battle through adversity? Are we a group that comes together? Are we a group that, falls apart? And my challenge to them is, good teams, they might lose a game, but they don't lose two in a row. They certainly don't lose three. They come together, they bind, they bind together really for a common purpose. And so I think that teamwork, that camaraderie, not having gone through something together, that's one of our biggest challenges. And I'm just trying to take each and every day to make sure they get to know each other better, that they appreciate what we have. And when things get hard, it doesn't break us. In fact, it only makes us stronger.
Great question, Barbara. Thanks for starting us off that way. Up next, Coach, it's Barry Jones from JCS of the Carolinas. And Barry wants to know, with COVID-19 affecting the upcoming season, how much of a factor do you think the expanded practice squad will be? And how will the 4 protected slots influence your roster makeup?
That's a great question. I think the expanded roster is going to allow you to practice, maybe have better practices because you have more players. I think, what you want is you want guys. Never before has dependability and versatility been more important. You want players on your roster that, you can really depend on to do the right things off the field, that are going to be where they're supposed to be, that are going to do what they're supposed to do. And at the same time, you're looking for versatility, a defensive tackle that can also play defensive end, a center that can play guard, and maybe a guard that can play tackle. Guys who can do multiple things have way more value because on any given Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, they can walk in and say, hey, so-and-so's out for this game. And that's a very scary proposition. So we tried to, build our roster and preach to our players that, hey, being versatile, doing more than one thing has never been more important. And in terms of the 4 protected players, you can't really protect those guys until Tuesday at 4:00. So you're still basically, you have a window from Sunday to Tuesday where people can come in and steal them. So it's not quite as protected as we thought initially. You can't really stash a quarterback there for the year because people can come get him at any time until obviously Tuesday at 4:00. But I think what you're doing is you're saying, hey, any areas we have concerns with, the next 4 guys we're going to protect and make sure that they're there for us all the way up until Sunday.
Up next, Benny Franklin from Choice USA Beverage, who reminds all touchdown clubbers of the importance of staying hydrated during a football season. Benny says, Coach, how do you plan to manage Christian McCaffrey's workload this year?
Christian averaged about 25 touches a game, and I think that's about the right number. There's no one in football who prides himself more on being out there. So we're going to play Christian and play him a lot. But I do think that the maybe not the touches, but the number of reps maybe comes down a little bit. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. We have Mike Davis, who we think is a really good running back. Curtis Samuel has been a really good running back in years past, so we feel like we have some options. But at the same time, to truly win games, when you're behind, it doesn't really matter. But when you get a lead, to truly win games, we need Christian to put games away in the fourth quarter for us, running the football. We want to make sure that he's healthy and full speed, both in the fourth quarter of games and also fourth quarter of this season. So I think we'll find places where we can to get him out of the game, to get him a break. He does not like that. So that's a hard conversation to have with him, but I think his touches will remain about the same.
Good question, Benny. Thank you. Up next, Bill McMillan, coach from CRVA, visits Charlotte. And Bill says, Coach, we've seen priorities shift during the pandemic, affecting how all of us manage our work and family lives. How has your decision-making process changed during COVID?
Well, that's a really deep question for me. I think I put a real, just on a personal level, I think I put a real priority on my own health. I saw the impact of COVID and what it was having on people that I love, and so made a decision to try to become way more heart healthy and take care of myself. And I don't know if I'll ever be a skinny person, but lost some weight and tried to eat better and live better and walk more and exercise more. And I think that carries over into your family life. I think when you're not tired all the time, when when you have extra energy, you have more time for your kids, you start to go for a walk as a family. And I think those things on a personal level have been really important. And I think decision making in terms of this job, I said people that I think are accountable, that you can believe, and I've always believed in that, but never more so than now. And I think as a leader, because I think when you're a head coach, you're a leader, trying to make sure that everyone that plays here, that works here, knows that their health and their family and their well-being comes first. They're not just pawns in a bigger, some big operation, but that they're valued. And so I'd say, so there's some personal changes that have been made for me, some, business changes, and also really in terms of communicating, to our players that, hey, we want you to be well first.
Brad Jones of First National Bank, Coach Rhule, he likes the X's and O's football guy. He says, as you implement your own offensive and defensive schemes, which position groups do you feel like will need the most modifications in order to be effective?
I don't know if that means modifications from last year or just in general. I'd say from the offensively, it's just a completely different system than maybe what Coach Turner implemented here last year. Whereas not having a offensive line get quite as deep, a little different run schemes. We're a little bit more firm up front. So for the guys who played on the offensive line last year, it's a major shift and a major change from last year to this year. I think defensively, in terms of what we've put in, just to have, a new starter at safety and Justin Burris, to have probably a rookie start at corner, to have four rookies start on defense. Really the modifications needed are just those guys getting experience. And there really is no time for them to be rookies. We just can't afford it. We need them to come in and play well right now. But I think those four rookies, they're the ones who need to get up to speed the quickest. And without preseason games, it's really hard. So when they go out to play the Raiders next week, that speed is game speed, and we've done our best to get them ready for that during training camp.
If you haven't been to Hickory Tavern yet, Coach, you and your staff would love it. You will not leave there hungry or thirsty. Brad Smith promises that. He runs the tavern. And Brad says, how is it different for you preparing for NFL overtime periods versus the structure of the college overtime? And do you prefer one over the other?
It's a great question. I think I probably prefer the NFL just because it's a little more footballish. You kind of play it out. And so, we play out overtime. We play out the end of the game a lot. We play out overtime, just making sure that our players, coaches, everyone's ready for it. So I think any of the rules that are different, from college to the pros, I just try to make sure we play out those situations. And I was blessed to work for Tom Coughlin at the Giants, who each week we did 2 or 3 different situations. He named them. He was always on top of them. And if we were going to be one thing when I worked for Coach Coughlin, we were going to be prepared. And so we're just trying to prepare at a high level now. I always feel like if you're prepared, you can be confident.
Appreciate that question, Brad. Thank you. Up next, Bert Harrell, coach, and he's from Pella Window and Door. And Bert says, as a lifetime Carolina Panther fan and a diehard supporter, what will be the most exciting change you plan to make to keep fans interested in supporting the Panthers this season, especially since it may not be possible for fans to tailgate and attend games like they're accustomed to?
Um, that's a great question, and it's going to be such a unique year. I had the conversation with my son the other day, like, hey, I don't think you're going to be able to come to the games. You have to stay home. I don't know if my son's missed an away game or home game, in my 7 years as a head coach, but that this is life now. This is the world now. And so I don't know changes because I wasn't really here before. I don't know how they necessarily did things, but I do think the one thing that I've always felt like is, when you walk out on the field as a coach, people in attendance, they're spending their hard-earned money to come to the games. When I was in Philadelphia, I was the head coach at Temple. On Sundays, a lot of my friends and neighbors, they go down to the Eagles games, and that wasn't cheap. That was something that was real. That was a decision that they made, and I always felt like you couldn't win every game, but people could feel like they got their money's worth. And I want us to be a tough, hardworking, competitive team. I want us to be a team that that when you come to watch us play, that you're going to get our best effort. You're going to see us go out there and play at a high level. Play hard, play fast, play physical, look prepared. And I want us to be a team that, plays the game the right way, celebrates together, loves each other, takes care of each other. So I think for fans, I want them to be able to feel that, through the TV. I want them to see the game being played the right way. I want them to see the team playing with tremendous energy and joy and passion. It's not going to be easy to create energy without the fans in the building, but that's a job that we have to do. And so, that those are things I hope that I see. And I'm sure that, the things I talked about in terms of tough, hardworking, competitive, those are things that all coaches want. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? When you can't be in the stadium, when you can't be in the crowd, then when you turn the game on TV, it has to be palpable that you feel that sense of commitment to something greater than oneself. And that's something I hope that we can build.
This is a rowdy crowd, the Touchdown Club, Coach. If they weren't muted, you'd be able to hear them hooting and howling and everything else at some of your responses. Chip Barker from ACN, Matt, wants to know. He says Coach Rhule's first seasons at Baylor had a slow start, but once players bought in, you got your players into the system of success that you wanted, and the results followed. So the question is, how do you see the transition from a Coach Rivera coach team and his system to what you're trying to do with the Panthers?
Well, Coach Rivera was a great coach. In fact, the year that I came down to the Touchdown Club, I also went to the Maxwell Awards and had a chance to see Coach Rivera and talk to him and visit with him. And I'm just a young college coach, and he's getting Coach of the Year, and he's talking to me and teaching me some things. So it's an honor to take over for him, and I certainly cheered him on in Washington. The thing I always try to tell our guys is, like, we have a way of doing things. We have a process. We have a series of things that we're going to do, and it can't be Coach Rhule's way. It can't be, Coach Snow's way. It's got to become our way, and that way might be a little different than it was in, 2018. Here in Carolina, we have other guys that came from other places. It might be different than it was at Auburn. It might be different than it was, 2019 in Denver. But this is the way that we're going to do things, and if we can all buy into that. And not just buy into the things that we like, like, hey, Coach Rhule, let's just play a little music in practice. Oh, I love it. Yeah. Well, what about when I say, hey, no earrings on the field? How are you going to handle that? And so I think our guys have done a great job of that. And, my whole thing is I want to be a coach who coaches with emotion and with passion. I want players who play with emotion and passion, but I don't want to be emotional. I don't want to be one of those coaches who's up and down. I don't want to be one of those teams that's up and down. I'm just trying to build a team that's the same team every week, that plays all out. And every game is the biggest game in the world, but that doesn't have, huge moments and then dramatic letdowns. And that's not easy. That takes time. But once I was able to get that done at Temple, and once we were able to get that done at Baylor, we had a lot of fun. And so I think we're well on our way. I think our veteran players are really making the turn right now. I think that they're doing a great job of getting our young players kind of understanding what's expected of them. Certainly on offense, those guys are starting to understand the offense. So I told them, I'll do whatever it takes to win the right way and build a foundation of success. I'll do that, but I don't want to have to lose. Let's go try to win right away. And why wait? And as you said so well, you know what? I didn't change from year 1 to year 4 at Temple, and I didn't change from year 1 to year 3 at Baylor. The players bought in and changed, and I've learned a lot from those times of how to do it quicker, how to have better relationships, how to communicate better. So I'm very hopeful that we can do it right away this year and give everyone in the Carolinas something to cheer about. But I will not take shortcuts to get there. We're going to build this thing the right way. I believe that a house built on rock, is built to last. And so there's no reason why we can't have a team and a franchise that wins year after year.
Got time for one, maybe two more questions for Coach Rhule. Neil Savage, coach from Lending Tree, says, who is the hardest working player on your squad?
Wow. You know what? They come in all shapes and sizes, so I hate to signal somebody out because I go in there every morning I go in there to do my little old man's workout every morning at 6:20, and Russell Okung and Matt Paradis and Chris Reed and KK Short and all those guys are already in there. But I don't know if I've ever been around someone like Christian McCaffrey who practices at a standard that not many people practice at, and prepares at the same level. So, everything you read about him, I saw him. I saw him on TV. I saw him on, I saw he was Madden, whatever score. I saw that. You expect one thing and then you meet him and he's the real deal. He's a genuine article. And I don't know if I've ever been around a player that works as hard as Christian. So we have a lot of them, but I'd say McCaffrey would be the one that I don't know if anyone else can reach that level.
Let's try to squeeze in maybe one more question, and then we'll let Coach get back to work. Rob Ellenberg from Pinnacle Financial Partners says, Coach, how does the offensive line look? And do you think we're okay at the guard spots? And has Will Greer done enough to solidify the backup QB role?
All great questions. That's 3 questions in one, Mick.
I know. Sorry about that. My job is to get you out of here on time, too.
I'll tell you what, I like our offensive line. I think it has a chance to be, sometimes, I had a chance. When I went to the Giants, I learned this. Sometimes people, all of us, we look at offensive line and we see they have this one great player, this one great tackle, and we kind of say, oh, they have a good line. True offensive line play is really about a group of guys that play really well together. And I think for a starting offensive line, we have a really good group that can play with anybody. You throw in Chris Manhurst at tight end as a blocking tight end, and Alex Arman, you really have something there. And we have some young guys we're going to count on as backups. But if they get their opportunity, I think they're going to be fine. A couple of those guys won a Super Bowl in Denver, so they know what it takes. So at the guard spots, I think Johnny Miller's one of the best football players on our team, and he is. I always talk about the brand, guys to represent us. I can't think of a guy better than Johnny Miller to represent Carolina Panthers and the toughness and the dedication. At the other spot, Dennis Daly's doing a nice job. So is Chris Reed. Michael Schofield's played a lot of football. So I think we're going to be a group that isn't selfish, that plays for each other and plays week in and week out. And I think that's a really special thing. I think Will Greer's done a tremendous job. He's had a great camp, and Teddy and PJ are all fighting to improve themselves and also prove that when their number's called, they can be the starting quarterback. So I've liked that group quite a lot.
Coach Matt Rhule's built a lot of trust, a lot of consensus in that locker room so far. You can count on this. The best is yet to be for the Carolina Panthers. With that, Coach, thank you. Great job, and we'll turn it back over to John Rocco.
Can I say one thing?
Of course.
I just want to make sure I thank anyone and everyone associated with the Charlotte Touchdown Club, because football is the greatest game. And each and every day I see young people that are in places and opportunities, that have families, that have jobs, that have futures that they never would have had without the game. And even if it's playing, Pop Warner football or high school football, all the way up college through to the pros, I just appreciate anyone and everyone that's associated with protecting the game, advancing the game, and bringing the attention to all the great things that happen. So I want to make sure I thank you guys for everything that you're doing for the game that I love.